resistance. This Starbucks in the middle of the Forbidden City brewed a storm of negative responses. Many felt its presence in this 600-year-old historic site, once home to 24 emperors, diminished Chinese culture. The sentiment motivated an online protest, calling for its removal before the 2008 Olympics. The protest succeeded, and Starbucks was forbidden from the Forbidden City. They closed up shop in July of 2007. Outside the walls of the Forbidden City, fast food is generally popular in Beijing. For better or worse, fast food is synonymous with American culture. Some Chinese people feel that when they step foot into a fast food chain, they're getting more than a happy meal. They're getting a taste of another culture. Depending on which chain you go to, a meal can be pricey compared to an average Chinese restaurant. For visitors seeking to comfort their palates with familiar hamburgers and French fries, spending a few extra bucks isn't a bad exchange. Food may temporarily satisfy your taste for home, but there's no sure cure other than feeling at home in China. Understanding the local culture helps. So to make the city seem a little less foreign, we went to international students living in Beijing for some cultural tips. So Christina, what is one piece of advice that you wish someone had given you before you came to China?
That you should be able to bargain.
Oh.
Because when you buy things here, it's all about bargaining. Because they usually start at a really high price, but you should really go down to half the price or else you'll be cheated.
Michael?
Well, I think one thing that's different here is restaurants. In the U.S., we're used to people waiting while we decide on what we'd like to order. Except here in China, they like standing at the table, standing right next to the table while you're deciding. So for me, it was really hard to get used to this. And I tried asking them in Chinese, please come back in 5 minutes. But I guess my Chinese pronunciation wasn't very good, so they thought I wanted a bowl of jiu, which is a bowl of porridge. So they said they had no porridge at the restaurant, and they kept standing there.
I would have to say bring lots of toilet paper, because if you expect that every bathroom in China is going to have its own public toilet paper for everyone to use, you're dead wrong.
Can you think of one that's been a challenge for you? Nate?
Not quite a challenge, but just something I needed to learn. Was at the supper table, you're supposed to, in Western culture, it's pretty much, you're still considered a nice guy if you pour yourself your own tea or your own beer and then just pass it on or whatever. Right. But in Chinese culture, there's very, you're supposed to pour it for the guest first, basically. And, and there's a certain way that everyone needs to sit at the table. Like the person who's farthest away from the door is the honored guest, especially in a round table in a private room. And so, I've gotten the habit of just pouring everybody else's drinks before I pour my own here.
Any other challenges? Anything that doesn't make sense? That
I have experienced a challenge once when I went to the bathroom, and there's this guy sitting on the floor because they don't have doors between some places they don't have doors on the squat toilets, and I think that's very challenging to have no privacy when you go to the bathroom, and some people don't care, and I think that's a product of living very close, a lot of people, and I guess that's how they get used to it.
A lot of the toilets are squatters here, so just be prepared to not sit down to actually squat.
Okay, tell me the one thing, so you get one thing that you miss about home. Michael.
This is going to sound funny, but tacos. There are Mexican restaurants here in Beijing, but none of them are really like good tacos or salsa. Just because living in a multicultural country, there's so much options of food, and tacos are something I really miss.
Christina.
I miss the bread in Norway. Because we usually eat bread for breakfast and bring it to school. We're really like a bread country, so I really miss the good bread.
Arton.
The cooking of my mother, I really miss it.
Alex?
I guess I kind of miss just shopping and not having to bargain, because sometimes you get so exhausted by doing that, and then you walk out of the store feeling so satisfied that you spent 15 minutes bargaining for this coat, and someone says, "Wow, you really got ripped off in there." You know? So it's kind of frustrating not having a set price and going for that. So
Yeah. And what do you do to overcome homesickness?
Eat good food.
Eat good food?
Yeah, there's a lot of good restaurants here that actually have decent prices. A lot of good Japanese restaurants, Italian ones. I think it's good.
Christina, what do you do to overcome homesickness?
I call home.
Yeah.
Is it cheap?
I use the internet, so that's really cheap. So I can call home often.
Good.
Yeah.
What else?
I think the internet is key. Just going onto the internet of news sites back home, you know, things you might have done back at home, and just, you know, if you read English news online every once in a while, it's nice to just feel like you're back in your element, because it's the same. The internet is the same.
What advice would you give to an international visitor to Beijing so they wouldn't embarrass themselves?
In America, the tipping culture is everywhere. So
Yes.
you tip everyone basically. If you tip someone in China, actually they don't want to be tipped. So especially for Americans, do not tip.
What other embarrassing thing can you save me from?
One is just that don't get so angry because traffic is chaotic, because it's always chaotic, and they're used to it, and you should just get used to it. If traffic looked like it did in America, like it looked in China, then everyone would be in an uproar. But in China, they just, you know, they beep through it and, you know, just wait it out and finally end up getting to wherever they need to go. But just don't lose it.
Well, I would say just expect the unexpected, because if you don't expect something and maybe you act strangely when you react, you know, people will also react strangely to your reaction. Just expect the unexpected.
Okay, so your parents are coming to visit you here, or your best friend is coming. What's the one thing they can't miss in Beijing? What do they have to see?
Well, this is going to sound kind of funny. It's not a typical tourist thing, but you're coming to China, the most populated country in the world. I think you have to go on a public bus once. Otherwise, you won't know what the real China's like. If you stay in cabs the whole time, you're not going to know. So go on a public bus at least once.
What else?
Forbidden City. That's one of the biggest attractions in Beijing, and you know, people will tell you, you know, go see some secret stuff, but the Forbidden City is actually one of the most beautiful things that Beijing has, and I think everyone should go see it.
When my mother came to visit, she told me that when she came to the Great Wall, she really knew she was in China. And just, I mean, that's just one of the things you really should try out, because it goes on forever, and you can see it trailing on forever.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything to apologize for with that. You have to see the Great Wall.
Yeah.
We've heard about it. You have to touch it.
Yeah, you have to walk on it. You have to run and play and climb on it.
Christina, what do you think? Where would you take your mom or your very best friend?
I would take them to Hutong. That's the old Beijing. It's near Tiananmen. And there you can just see all the old buildings and just how Beijing was before. And it was really beautiful.
Now that you've heard their suggestions, see the sights for yourself. In our next episode,